Have you ever experienced the bitter disappointment of a good book gone bad? Imagine the scene. You're curled up in your favorite reading nook, heart pounding with anticipation as you turn the pages of a novel you've been engrossed in. But then something changes. The plot twists in a way that feels forced, or a beloved character starts to act out of character. Or perhaps the sequel you've been eagerly awaiting falls flat. It's a feeling akin to betrayal, a literary letdown that leaves a sour taste in your mouth. We've all been there, haven't we? Excitement giving way to disillusionment as a promising book or series of books takes a nosedive into the abyss of poor storytelling. We're not talking about books that were never good to begin with, but about those that started with such promise only to lose their way. They could be victims of hastily written sequels, mismanaged plot developments, or unfulfilled character arcs. The aftermath? A universal sense of disappointment shared by readers worldwide. Let's talk about sequels first. We've all waited impatiently for book 2 or 3 or 4 of a series, only to find that the magic of the original has somehow been lost. The characters we fell in love with are there, but they've changed in ways that don't make sense, or the plot has taken a turn into the realm of the improbable. It's a tragedy of expectations, a letdown that leaves us questioning the time and emotional investment we've made. Or perhaps it's the plot that's gone awry. We've all read books where the story starts to unravel, where the events feel forced or inconsistent, where the suspense that once had us on the edge of our seats fizzles out into a lackluster ending. It's like watching a beautiful tapestry being unpicked, thread by thread, until all that's left is a tangle of loose ends. And then there are the characters, those fictional friends we've grown to love only to watch them devolve into caricatures of themselves, their growth stunted, their arcs unfulfilled. Today we'll delve into some examples of good books that unfortunately went bad. Ever anticipated a sequel only to be utterly let down? We've all been there. The excitement of a forthcoming sequel to a beloved book can be thrilling, only to be replaced by a sense of profound disappointment when the sequel fails to live up to its predecessor. Take, for instance, the sequel to the critically acclaimed novel, The Enchanted Forest. The first book was a captivating tale of adventure and magic, with intricate plot lines and well-developed characters. Yet the sequel, The Forest's Folly, was a letdown for many fans. The plot was rushed, the characters lacked depth, and the magic of the original story seemed to have been lost in the frantic attempt to continue the narrative. Or consider the follow-up to The Distant Shores, a poignant tale of love and loss that touched the hearts of millions. The sequel, Shores Unseen, was a stark deviation from the original plot, transforming a tender love story into a convoluted spy thriller. The unexpected shift left many readers bewildered and disillusioned. But why do these sequels fall short? There are a few usual suspects. Often, the pressure to replicate the success of the original book can lead to rushed writing. The author, in a bid to meet the high expectations, may fail to give the plot the time it needs to mature. This can result in a narrative that lacks the depth and complexity of the original. Then there's the issue of deviation from the original plot. While it's important for a sequel to bring something new to the table, a drastic shift in genre or tone can alienate the original fanbase. A sequel should feel like a natural extension of the first book, not an entirely different story. Finally, there's the problem of overcomplicating the plot. In an attempt to make the sequel more exciting, authors may introduce too many new elements, resulting in a confusing and disjointed narrative. Sequels can indeed be a hit-or-miss affair, as these examples have shown. While some sequels manage to capture the magic of the original, others serve as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between innovation and consistency that must be struck for a sequel to truly succeed. Ever found yourself exclaiming, "What on earth were they thinking?" while reading a book? Well, let's dive into the complex world of plot developments where mismanagement can swiftly turn a good book bad. One common pitfall is the notorious deus ex machina, a sudden, unexpected solution to an insurmountable problem. It's like having a character stuck in a labyrinth for days, only to stumble upon a hidden door leading straight to the exit. While it provides a quick end to the character's plight, it often feels unearned and can leave readers feeling robbed of a satisfying climax. And then there are the plot twists that come out of left field with no foreshadowing or build-up. Imagine a character revealing they've been an undercover agent all along, but there were no clues or hints to suggest this possibility. It's as if the author suddenly decided to change the game, disregarding the rules they themselves established. Such plot twists can feel like a betrayal, undermining the trust between the reader and the writer. Another misstep is inconsistency in the story's internal logic. This is when an established fact or rule within the story's world is suddenly ignored or contradicted. Picture a story where magic is forbidden, but the protagonist suddenly uses magic without facing any consequences. This not only confuses readers, but also disrupts immersion in the story. Let's not forget the red herring gone wrong. A red herring is a false clue intended to mislead readers. However, when overused or poorly executed, it can make the plot convoluted and difficult to follow. It's like a mystery novel where every character is presented as the potential culprit, only to reveal that the butler did it. But wait, wasn't the butler killed in Chapter 3? In conclusion, plot developments are a double-edged sword. They can make a story thrilling and unpredictable, but when mismanaged, they can also derail it, alienating readers in the process. As we've seen, even the best of stories can go astray with misguided plot developments. How frustrating is it when a character you've grown to love ends up unrecognizable? Indeed, it's like watching a dear friend transform into a stranger, and it's one of the most disheartening experiences a reader can encounter. Imagine diving into a book, investing hours into understanding a character, their motivations, their quirks, their dreams. You're there for their victories, their losses, and their growth. And then, suddenly, their personality does a complete 180. It's as if the author decided to replace them with a doppelganger halfway through the story. Perhaps it's a calculated move, an attempt at a plot twist. But more often than not, it's a result of an unfulfilled or inconsistent character arc. A character arc is the transformation or inner journey of a character over the course of a story. It's the heartbeat of any narrative. Characters are supposed to evolve, to change, to learn. But this transformation should be gradual, consistent, and, most importantly, believable. When a character's development is inconsistent, it disrupts the reader's connection to the character, and consequently, the story. Consider a character who starts off as a timid, soft-spoken individual. By the end of the book, they're leading rebellions and making bold speeches. It's a classic underdog story, and we all love a good underdog. But what if this transformation happens abruptly, without any significant events or experiences prompting this change? It feels forced and unnatural, doesn't it? It's like the author forgot who their character was halfway through the book. The same goes for character arcs that are left unfulfilled. Imagine a character set up for redemption, only for the author to abandon this arc midway. The reader is left hanging, waiting for a growth that never comes. It's like being promised a dessert that never arrives. It's unsatisfying and frustrating. A well-developed character is the backbone of any good book. When that goes awry, the book often follows suit. And while a good character arc can't salvage a bad plot, a bad character arc can certainly ruin a good one. It's a delicate balance that every author must strive to maintain. Because in the end, these characters are not just figures on a page. They're our friends, our heroes, our mirrors, and we deserve to see them grow, change, and evolve in a way that's true to who they are. Having traversed this journey of good books turned sour, what have we learned? Let's take a moment to reflect on the key points that have emerged from our discussion. Firstly, we delved into the abyss of bad books, those that promised so much but delivered so little. We found that the downfall often begins when the initial magic is lost, when the charm that once captivated us begins to fade. This can be due to a variety of reasons, from a change in the author's writing style to a shift in the narrative focus that leaves us feeling disconnected from the story. Next, we touched on the tragedy of unfulfilled sequels. There's nothing quite as disappointing as a sequel that fails to live up to its predecessor. The anticipation built up by the first book can quickly turn to frustration when the follow-up falls flat. Whether it's due to a lack of originality, a change in direction, or simply a failure to recapture the magic of the first book, unfulfilled sequels can leave a bitter taste. We also discussed the downfall of mismanaged plot developments. A well-crafted plot is the backbone of any good book. But when this structure is mishandled, the entire narrative can crumble. Plot holes, inconsistencies, or sudden twists that defy logic. These are all signs of a mismanaged plot that can turn a good book bad. Finally, we explored the frustration of unfulfilled character arcs. Characters are the heartbeat of any story, and when their development is stunted or their actions become uncharacteristic, it can greatly affect our enjoyment of the book. A well-developed character can single-handedly carry a story, but when this development goes awry, it can be a major letdown. So as we wrap up this journey, let's remember that not every book can maintain its initial allure. There will be disappointments along the way, but it's the love for literature that keeps us turning pages, hoping for that next great read. Remember, not all books maintain their initial charm, yet it's the love for literature that keeps us turning pages, hoping for that next great read.